soldiers are trained for this. When they sign up to be a soldier, they sign up to be a soldier. They're not signing up for, they're not being trained in these languages, they're not being trained to peacefully apprehend people coming across the border.
Training is a key word. Just 1 second. Training is a key word, JT, because the rules of engagement for the American military is that they actually cannot participate in law enforcement activities on U.S. soil. So they can't do any law enforcement on U.S. soil. So what are those soldiers doing at the border right now? They can't do any law enforcement activities.
Well, I think that they're there for these caravans if it becomes violent.
Okay.
And there might need to be backup or
So
something.
wouldn't that be a law enforcement activity though that they're not allowed to engage in?
It should be, but if we don't have enough immigration officers down to control the threat, then
Okay.
they might need to
Then it would become a what?
war situation.
I'm gonna go with the word emergency, maybe?
Emergency.
Okay, so, but guys, what are they doing right now? Because they're obviously not engaging, they're not dropping Black Hawks and, sneaking through, dark tunnels and things. They're not doing that because they can't do law enforcement. What are those soldiers doing at the border right now? They just standing there?
I think it's there just for
basically.
I think it's just there
It's
to
like a
scare.
scare
So it's an intimidation piece?
Yes.
Is there a functional piece? Is there some other work that they're doing at the border?
We didn't really study what
Okay.
they're actually doing, but I think U.S. troops being in there is definitely just in those cases.
Okay, that's it. I was just going to pivot. It's kind of back to areas where there is a wall or a barrier. Did you all happen to look at crime statistics in those towns that border, the towns in the U.S. that border those walls or barriers versus areas that do not, and the differences in crime levels in those different areas?
No, man, we do not focus our research on
I'm going to go on a really different slant. How many of you are proud to be from Kentucky? I'm proud to be from Kentucky. But if you look at us nationally on the way we rank educationally, economically, et cetera, we're always in the bottom 5. But I'm proud to be a Kentuckian. We've got Kentucky Proud Park at UK baseball field. So why can't these people from other countries just be proud of where they're from and build into that? And yeah, they may have horrible people around them, but if we continue to be open to them, they're never going to have pride. They'll come over here and then they'll say they're proud of, I'm proud I'm from Columbia.
I think they have a better life over here. That they hear so much about how good life can be over here, that they want a part of that. I think that's why a lot of them cross over. Because I think there's better opportunities over here.
I mean, I think
than over there.
they can still be proud, like, if focus on Mexico, they can still be proud. Like, if I move to another state, I mean, I'm always going to be still proud that I'm from Kentucky, and I'll probably show that off. But I think they can still be proud living in another country of where they came from.
How can we show compassion to them without saying, we're open, come on over?
Do it legally. Do it the right way.
So what you're trying to say is, why can't these people trying to get into our nation just be proud of where they're from and try to invest in their own?
I'm saying, why can't they stay where they're at? And how can we help them stay where they're at, show compassion without having to bring them on and them be our burden?
I mean, I guess that's probably the most ideal situation, is just trying to get them to feel patriotic about where they're from, turning their places around. But what can we do? I don't want to say anything because I really want to look into that.
What's your opinion? So, as we know, there's massive caravans coming through, and we know that they cannot, some of the people who are coming to the border, they can't document who they are. They have no idea what country they're coming from, and they have no idea, what they're here to do or what their intent is. They could be terrorists coming from somewhere. They could be a family that's just looking for a better life, and if they can't document who they are. What is your opinion for somebody who comes to the border and they can't document anything about them? What do they do with them?
Well, it says the ICE, once an undocumented immigrant is arrested, that a deportation officer will make an initial determination as to whether a person needs to be made into removal proceedings and how to charge the person. So I guess that you just kind of run a background. You do try to find some sort of information about them, and do your best to just try and find out where they came from.
So do you feel like, because right now we hear in the media that, oh, we're holding these people in camps and they're in these, jail-like situations where they can't roam freely and we're keeping them in prison. Do you think it's right or wrong because for those that we can't document anything about them?
I think it's right because we don't know who these people are, and we don't know their motives and their threats or anything. Until we find something about them, then they could have a direct threat to do harm. And we just don't know.
And switching back to the visas real quick, how many different visas can somebody use to get in? Like, how many different visas are there available for somebody to enter?
There's a lot, but we primarily focused on two, which was the family-based visa and the employment-based visa.
So there are tons, as you meant, that's what my point was, and do you feel like the number of visas, that it might help if our government limited the number of visas for people being able to enter this country for any legally for those reasons to come work, say, in specialties we may need, like say engineering, if that was something, or the medical profession, that those would be, that a limited visa would be more effective than having hundreds?
I think it would. There would definitely be less ways to get in. Like you actually have. I'm not sure about this, but maybe someone could be making something up about having for why they need a visa. But for like a work visa, do they usually have to like turn in like pay stamps to show that they've been working? But I think by eliminating all those different visas would definitely change the way people come into the country.
Let's talk about visa abuse. What ways are people gaming the system? Could people game the system by getting the visa?
So for gaining a visa, people can come in legally,
Mhm.
and then stay extra.
Okay, so what does that mean, stay extra?
So their visa does expire.
Okay.
Over an amount of time, and they can stay. Unless we catch them, there's no way of us finding out that if they have stayed over until if they do like a crime or something like that. We pull them up and we show that they are over their visa limit. They would have to be sent down.
So visa is kind of like a driver's license. I give it to you, it's good for 4 years or
It
whatever,
expires.
and then it expires. And when it expires, then what happens to you?
You have to renew your visa,
And if you don't?
then technically you are illegal.
Yeah. So you're
They have to live a really secret life if you're going to use a visa and just let it expire.
Has that happened? Is that a frequent thing, or is that just kind of a random thing? that
No,
doesn't
I would
happen?
say it happens a lot.
A majority of illegal immigrants that currently
Mhm.
live in America are overstayers.
They've overstayed their visas.
There's 40% that comes across, and then there's 60. Well, it's like 50, but it's 60 that are overstayers.
So it sounds like if there's such a high percentage, yes, building the wall could stop an influx across the border, but it sounds like there's, pretty sizable amount on the other side that overstays their visa. So how do we fix that problem? Because they came in legally, right? We gave them a visa, it expired, and now they're here illegally. How do we address that? Because we know they were here, have been here, probably are still here, right? We've got their photos, we've got their information, we've got whatever background check we could get off from Clark, right? What do we do about that? Now, we know they're here, we know that they're somewhere. How do we correct that issue?
I know I didn't exactly research that amount, but I know that actually getting a visa is pretty strenuous to
Mhm.
get one. And it can take 2 weeks to 2 months. But once that thing expired, I'm not sure what you would do. I didn't really research.
We're past the getting the visa, so they've got the
How to
visa,
kick
they
them
just
out?
overstayed it. How do we enforce that?
We have ICE, but they're under a lot of pressure right now.
Okay.
ICE, once they have 48 hours once they obtain their, I guess just now illegal immigrant, like someone who has overstayed their visa. Once they apprehend them, they have 48 hours to prove that they are illegal, and if they do not, then they are able to walk.
So wait a minute, if an ICE agent captures somebody who's overstayed their visa, they have to prove that they've overstayed in 48 hours, otherwise they have to let the person go?
Right.
And that's a national law?
It doesn't make sense to me. Also, law enforcement, like police, are able to apprehend illegal immigrants. They know that they are.
How do they know that they are?
Just through background checks, and you can see, like, it's very rare that once ICE catches someone that they can prove.
Do they just ask somebody if they're legal or not?
No, I mean, it's all in their system. Like the visas and when it expired is all in the system.
Obviously, this is a problem, right, for our society, for our nation. We got, some say, let's open it up, let them in. Some say, let's keep them out as firm as possible. What's our Christian faith say? How do we show and demonstrate Christian values in that?
So, in the Bible, every major city did have a wall around it. Of course, this was also for defense purposes, but it also served that you generally protect them. Even Israel, the story of Nehemiah building his wall. But there's also law that you take care of visitors. Every time you have a visitor, it could be a complete stranger, you give them the utmost respect, and you're serving them your best meal, and you're giving them the best day that they have while they're there. So as Christians, I believe that we need to show up to these people. They're obviously coming from a crisis, from something they're running, and they're looking for a better life. However, I believe as a country, we can't afford to just open up our barriers, and it's not feasible, and it would do more harm than good.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, having wall, but those that are in or those that do come, treat with respect and kindness.
Treat with respect and kindness, but they have to understand that it's not good for us.
It's called illegal immigrant for a reason, I mean, because it's against the law, you're not allowed to do it. But, I mean, like, for me, like, one of my favorite teachers, Ranjamon, I mean, he came through legally, and, you know, I think everyone loves him, and, you know, I think that's how it should.
Illegally or
He
legally?
came through legally. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a good clarification to make. Mr. Matthews, I need to talk to you for that.
So, kind of along those same lines, my folks my mom and dad live in Central Texas. They live in a community with a lot of illegal immigrants that live in their community. Dad was a school teacher, still a school teacher for a long time, and these young people are in the school, parents are in the community, in the church that they go to, and it's a very peaceful existence. Okay? School's not overcrowded, city's not burst at the seams, they're not causing a financial stress on the city's budget. But they are illegal. What would be your response to a situation such as that? Because that's not the case everywhere. I realize that. But in their small Central Texas community, it seems to be a pretty peaceful existence. What would be a solution that if your ICE says you guys are agents, you need to clean up Mejia, Texas? What do you do?
Of course, that's like a difficult situation. They're attending church. It's a peaceful area, but if I'm an ICE agent and I'm trying to do my job, I'm going to do my job. I don't think that, and then letting me in, I don't think a wall says it's like a complete lockdown. It's not. It's asking you to please use the front door. Please use it legally. Just come in, do it legally, and do your job.
So what do you guys feel like in that situation, what would be your job? Because, like I said, they are there even to the point that, I mean, they're serving the community. They're, Christian brothers and sisters. So somebody besides JT, what do you feel, what would be your job in that particular circumstance?
I would encourage them to do it legally, too. I know the ICE members could encourage them, hey, this is wrong, this is what you need to do. Instead of just saying, here, go. I think try to convince them, be like, there's a right way to do it. Because right now, you're not technically legal. Even though you are a great person, you did do this illegally.
So let me kind of further complicate the system, because in Texas, things are running incredibly slow. It is an overrun system. And so, taking your advice. Okay, so I'm a legal immigrant. I want to take your advice. You're trying to help me out. And by entering into the system, I potentially put myself at risk for being deported. So what do you still advise me of the same thing? I mean, because you're going to split up my family. I'm working jobs. This is not always true, but maybe I'm taking jobs that other people don't want to do, and so really not hurting the economy because I'm doing stuff that other people don't want to do. I'm sending that money back to my family because I'm trying to take care of them in Mexico, which is often the case. You still advise me the same thing? Anyone?
I mean, I'm just kind of advise the same thing, just, encourage them to become a legal citizen, doing it the right way. I mean, that's really hard to do because, them kind of putting their name in the system like that, obviously they know that puts a risk at them being deported, like you said. So, I mean, I think we as a country should still encourage them to become a citizen. Because, like you said, they're good people, they're doing the right things. But, like Marcus said, you came illegally in that sense.
So what if that guy's your ace pitcher and he can... I'm just messing with
So you think that it's clearly there are loopholes in the law, and Congress has failed to address legally some of those issues, which brings me back to, since Congress can't seem to do anything, the declaration of emergency was more a funding issue, not to take troops down. Would you agree that if Congress cannot, based on your research, that Congress cannot solve the problems that these people are having with the legal system within their communities and what we're allowing, wouldn't it be the right of the president to declare a state of emergency for funding to try to take care of some of the issues at the border?
I would argue that the national emergency was used properly in the case of the Southern border, because I do believe it is an illegal case. So I would say that it is justified, and the House has to come up with.
And conversely, what Mr. Matthews was saying, what about a person who is a U.S. citizen who goes somewhere, and I know you focus mostly on the southern border, but we had somebody who went to Afghanistan and fought with ISIS, some females, and now they want to come back. What's your opinion on that for somebody who leaves to go to another country, helps fight terror, or fights with terrorists and wants to come back? What are your thoughts on if they're a U.S. citizen?
I don't think they pass the background checks. I think part of becoming a U.S. citizen, you have to swear your allegiance to the United States of America. I think by going across the country or across the globe and fighting for an organization that is anti-America, did you really swear your allegiance to the United States? And then once you ask to come back, you won't pass the background checks. I'm sure.
That's one quick question I've always wanted to know is, how does the deportation process work? I've always heard about you're going to get deported, you're going to get deported. How does that happen? How do you deport somebody? I mean, if we catch them at the border, do we just go turn around and go back that way?
They put them in a holding for like 48 hours.
Okay.
They put them in holding, and then after that, I'm not exactly sure what they do once after that 48 hours is up.
Okay.
But I know once you get caught, you are put into a holding with your family.
So we could possibly hold them for some amount of time. But we've determined that they're a Venezuelan national and that they've come here illegally. We've gone through the holding, we've gone through all the background. We actually need to deport them. How do we deport them? Do we push a magic button and they teleport them back to Venezuela, or how does that work?
We didn't really research past that.
We don't really
I'm
know.
not sure about that.
We just know that they're no longer accepted
Okay.
here.
I believe we put them on a plane, don't we? Put them on a plane and fly them back, I believe, in most cases. Who's paying for that plane ticket?
We are.
That's if we can ascertain where they're from and where to send them back to, right? And oftentimes these people may not have a place to go back to. If it's a war-torn country or certainly someplace internationally that's otherwise less desirable. What time? 5 more minutes? Okay. I think we touched on this at the beginning. I don't know that we quite drilled all the way down to it. You guys have established a number of points on why illegal immigration is detrimental to this country. whether that's, you know, financially, infrastructure-wise, whatever the case may be. So if we accept on the face that broad